After a state of play that could generously be called underwhelming, the way a raging wildfire could generously be called a bit warm, Xbox didn't really have much to lose with their own showcase. And as I'm recording this little intro blurb on the Friday before the show, I'm weirdly excited, but then, I don't know, maybe excitement isn't the right word for it. Maybe it's more intriguing and more of a feeling of, are they finally going to do something with all those games and franchises they have in their catalog now? Going into the show, I had pretty varied ideas of what I was expecting. I had a talk with a buddy about it, and we had a few key points we were hoping for, so if you don't want to hear my expectations or, the day before opinions, just skip ahead like 2 minutes or so to get to my actual recap and thoughts on the show itself. I have the chapter things on the slidey bar down there if you want to skip ahead, but here's all the stuff that we were thinking before the show. I can't get over that you own Rare and you're working on Perfect Dark. We know Perfect Dark exists, and we know it's not with Rare. But also the leaks about I don't know if they were leaks or rumors or like if there's any legitimacy to it, but Toys for Bob doing Banjo, which like if it's not going to be Rare, yeah. Toys for Bob is a great choice. It is a little strange that for a studio that you own, not giving their legacy properties to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you insist that no one can touch Halo except 343.
And I would also say it's mildly hypocritical, where it's like, 343, like, oh my god, don't take away Halo, don't take away Halo from them. But then it's like, but Rare, fuck you. We own your IPs, but you're not allowed to touch shit.
Yeah, no one is allowed to give any kind of first-person interpretation of Halo except for 343. No one else can touch it. No one can touch Halo except them. Meanwhile, we own Rare. We own Rare's properties. We are actively reviving Rare's properties, but Rare, you're not allowed to touch it. Your properties are not sacred to you, but someone else's property is sacred to 343. It's a very strange, arbitrary line that Microsoft is drawing for some reason. I imagine Avowed and Indiana Jones and Starfield are probably gonna get the most attention out of anything.
Fable, I would just hope to see gameplay outside of everything of like their constant, oh look at this like super cinematic trailer, guys. It's like, we got those last year. We need gameplay.
It really drives me nuts when we get like gameplay trailer. Look at this gameplay, and it's
vertical slice.
It's vertical slice glorified cutscenes. Because it's not just vertical slice, it's vertical slice without the UI and without any actual real-time interaction or conflict between the player and the NPCs, or the player and the other players. It is always so painfully choreographed. What you're calling gameplay is literally not gameplay. The game will never look like this.
Avowed, I'm expecting Avowed just because at the same time, that's been such a long time coming from Obsidian. And they've even said too, I guess it's actually not as like massive of scope as Skyrim, which I'm also like, good, but like if you really are trying to be like, oh, we need to pump up sales, make dope collector's editions of those games that are going on Game Pass.
Basically, the too long didn't read of the situation is that I'm expecting some cool things, maybe not some particularly new games, but involving properties that Microsoft went out of their way to take control of. I'm hoping for updates on stuff that was announced like 6 years ago, like stuff like Perfect Dark, stuff like Fable, stuff like Avowed. I just want to see more of what's in the catalog. I want to see more of Gears of War. I want to see whatever nonsense they're cooking for Gears of War 6. I want to know if they're ever going to do that Gears of War Remastered trilogy, because they're just sitting on a second Master Chief Collection and they're just not doing it for some reason. I'm weirdly optimistic that there will be some cool stuff, but I'm cautiously excited about what we're actually going to be hearing on Sunday. I think they won this one, boys. So I don't want to be too crazy here. I want to be as even-handed as I can be about the Xbox show, which is why, yeah, even though I'm really excited, as a longtime Gears of War fan, I'm really excited to be going back to where things started. I'm excited to see Marcus and Dom again, but at the same time, I'm miffed that there was no gameplay or release date after a 5-year wait after Gears 5. I think Perfect Dark looks interesting, and I'm happy about the fact that we finally got some gameplay, but I'm still annoyed by the fact that, again, still no flippin' release date on that thing. Did you hear my voice crack? No flippin' release date. But if we're just talking about who had the best showcase here, Xbox ran away with this one. Like, hilariously so. Look at this poll. Look at this fucking poll. This is fucking stupid. I've never seen something this drastic on a poll like this. I've never seen this many votes have this drastic of a gap between the first and second place for the summer showcases. I've never seen opinions be this almost universal as to who had the best show. And yeah, sure, I haven't seen the Ubisoft showcase yet, but forgive me for not expecting the Ubisoft showcase to have anything interesting. We also haven't seen the Nintendo showcase yet, but again, forgive me for not really caring about the Nintendo showcase because Nintendo's just off in their own universe doing whatever all the time. Of the big 3 gaming showcases this summer, PlayStation, Xbox, and State of Play, Xbox completely destroyed the competition in terms of who had the most games that people are actually interested in. If you're going to try and console war over this, just get the fuck out of here. I don't care. I truly don't care that these games are multi-plats. I prefer them to be multi-plats. I'm a PC player. I don't give a shit about the console exclusivity aspect of this entire thing. But when you get down to it, this is one of the strongest, game showings that Xbox has had in a long time. Xbox seems to be really leaning into their role as a publisher more than a console ecosystem. And I'm okay with that, because if this is the lineup of games that we're going to be getting from them as a publisher, I'm here for it. I do have snarks. I do have some snarks I want to make. I do want to make some snarks about the fact that while Doom the Dark Ages did make my brain do a big ol' happy wiggle, and the chainsaw shield made my entire butt start vibrating, I do want to make some snarks about the fact that whoever's writing the music is doing their absolute best to remind us of Mick Gordon without actually being Mick Gordon, and I'm gonna be I can't imagine that's going to be the most fun job to have as the Doom 3 composer. Fable still just kind of looks okay to me. I'm glad it's coming out. I'm glad it's getting closer. I want to see what it looks like in motion, but I'm still not at the point where I'm even remotely excited for it. Avowed looks pretty nice, but it's Obsidian. What else is new? Obsidian makes good games. In other news, 343 is incompetent, and oh yeah, 343 was nowhere to be found at the big Xbox showcase, which was a little concerning. I get that I'm a little all over the place here, but I have very mixed opinions on this Xbox showcase, and maybe that's a hot take, but as someone who spends a lot of time dumping on AAA games, on AAA showcases, and on companies trying to show you CGI trailers and be like, look at this gameplay. As someone who's just annoyed by that stuff nowadays, I just want Xbox to start proving themselves, I get that they have all these IP. I get that they have all these cool games in the works, these games that look really cool on paper. Gears of War E-Day makes me really, really, really happy on paper. I want to see it. Doom the Dark Ages. I like what I'm seeing here, and I trust id Software, so I'm not gonna lose sleep over the Doom Dark Ages trailer not being as raw gameplay as I would have wanted it to be, because it's also from a company that hasn't really let me down with this franchise yet. Reboot Doom has kicked ass from the beginning. I'm not really going to lose sleep over not seeing what the UI looks like, you know what I mean? But with Gears of War, on paper, Gears of War E-Day is exactly what I wanted. I made a video a while back saying that a reboot of Gears of War at this point is necessary because the new trilogy's story and characters just are not resonating with people. The new gameplay style is just not as good as it was before. And I remember saying in a video, it was either this one or this one, I forget which one it was, but I remember saying in this video that they need to go back and do a game about E-Day. And now here we are, having a game about E-Day. Here we are with Marcus and Dom again. Here we are with a really dark, gritty tone, which is so welcome for this franchise. The tone of Gears 4 and 5 drove me insane because they took a dark, gritty sci-fi shooter and turned it into a fucking Marvel movie with gore, and I hate it. Tone-wise, setting-wise, Gears of War E-Day is exactly what I want, but unlike Doom the Dark Ages, it's being developed by a company I do not trust. I don't trust the Coalition with this franchise. The Coalition is yet to prove to me they actually have good ideas of their own and are not just copying off of Epic Games' homework. Same goes for Fable. I like that Fable is coming back. I like the concept of this new game on paper, but just I don't trust these developers. I guess the point I'm getting at here is that Xbox has a lot of really cool jumping off points. And by jumping off points, I mean trailers, I mean logos, I mean projects that we know they're working on. But what they need to work on next is solidifying the trust in their studios. You can have all the coolest IP in the world, but it doesn't matter if you don't have good developers. It's the whole reason why I'm lukewarm on Indiana Jones, even though in theory I should be over the moon about Indiana Jones, but I don't trust Machine Games after Wolfenstein 2 and Wolfenstein Youngblood. I still haven't forgiven you for that fucking massive drop-off between Wolfenstein New Order and Wolfenstein 2. Am I making sense here? Am I grasping at straws here? Am I trying too hard to be critical here? I really don't feel like I am, because this seems to happen every single year, where Xbox has a really good showcase. Xbox shows off a bunch of awesome games, and then those games either just don't come out, or they're not as good as they should be. I appreciate that Xbox actually is committing to release dates now and getting games out the door. That's way more than they could have said for themselves a few years ago. But the fact we're just now seeing Perfect Dark gameplay doesn't make me confident in the project. The fact that it's been 5 years since the last mainline Gears of War game, and we still don't even have a release window for the new one, that doesn't fill me with much confidence. And Indiana Jones looks really fun, but I'm just not stoked on it the way I would be stoked on it if it was by a company like fucking id Software. Dude, an Indiana Jones game by id Software, I would shit myself. The way I feel about the Xbox showcase is the way I felt about fucking The Force Awakens when I first saw it. I walked out of the theater like, yeah, that was all right. That was cool. You put the stuff that I wanted to see on screen. And then the longer I thought about it, the more I was like, wait, was that actually what I wanted? Hang on. And then I watched the movie again and I was like, oh yeah, this is actually fucking awful. Which, side note, when's the last time you watched Force Awakens? Because, dude, watching The Force Awakens with the knowledge of what happens in episodes 8 and 9 now, The Force Awakens is fucking incomprehensible. Like, watching that movie now after the trilogy is over, The Force Awakens genuinely feels like a third of the movie is just missing. But anyways, I guess my thesis is this. My big point I'm trying to make is this. Xbox has so much talent under their belt, and they have so many awesome IPs under their belt, and they seem to have some good ideas in the works. But until I see them, until I play them, until I experience them for myself, I just don't trust you yet. I used to trust the companies that Xbox had under their belt, back in the 360 era when they were really, really consistent. But over the last 10 years or so, the quality control of Xbox's first-party studios has dramatically dropped, and that trust just hasn't really been built back up yet. It looks like you guys are heading in the right direction for sure, and I'm definitely optimistic. I don't know, I'm on the fence. It was a very good show on paper, and Xbox has a lot of good games on their hands on paper. Whether or not that paper actually comes to life is yet to be seen. I hope it does. I genuinely hope it does. But I'm interested to hear people's thoughts now that the dust has settled a little bit, because I think there was a lot of hype with this showcase right after it ended, but now that we're all sitting back and thinking about it, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Am I just being a little too critical here? Am I still too bitter about the drop in quality from Gears of War? Am I still a little overly emotional asshat about the Wolfenstein games and my lack of trust in Machine Games because of that? I don't know. I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments. Isn't that fun? There's a comment section. Okay, toodles.